Katmai, Alaska, home to glaciers, salmon, wolves, moose, bears, and thousands of pounds of human trash that washes up here every year from across the world. I came along with a sketchbook to try to capture the big picture, but mostly, I was here for the shoes.
Climate change, but it's an important step. And as Max mentioned, like we do a lot of steps in our life, and especially the ones that we run. I actually, Max, you counted like how many steps I did during Hard Rock to start like to count back on that. So it's fun to see how many we do, and if we can make that those have a lower footprint, it's that's something that it's important. And yeah, I hope that everyone it's fine here, that you are having a good time, that winter is a real winter, that's every time a bit more not normal. But yeah, first of all, Max, how are you doing? How is life going?
It's good. Yeah, it's nice and early here in Alaska, but it's worth it. And just it's been a really wild thing to be able to share this story because it was about a year ago that the first idea kind of popped into the head of like, what if we like actually went out there and saw how many shoes we would actually find? So since that time, my whole perspective is just fully shifted. So it's fun to be able to share it to others and kind of at least have them in the same boat of wondering like, where are my shoes?
Yeah, and, I invite everyone. I hope that you have all seen the film. It's amazing. Like I want first to congratulate you, Max, because it's a beautiful film. It's just wonderful. So if you haven't seen it yet, like after this live, just go and watch it. But yeah, when was the first time that you went to Kemptai, like to that place? Was and what did motivate you to go there? Because like you come from like a background that it's more like you have been filming on running and on sports, and you one time decide, okay, we'll take a boat with a bunch of people to go to do some big trash in this peninsula in Alaska.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you can't run there. I mean, the main issue is like this is a sketch from one afternoon. This is like what you deal with a lot out there. Just huge Alaskan bears. And so if you ran, it would not be a good idea. It's like one of the few places on Earth you just should not run. But the first time I was out in these places was almost right after college. I got hired to go kind of pick up trash just as a pair of arms, and it totally changed my whole perspective because Alaska just feels so wild. And then you get out to somewhere like this with no people, just bears and wolves and moose, and that's about it. And it is just covered in, trash. It's like as if you went to a dump. So that kind of opened up my whole mind. But then the more that I traveled, the more that I saw the problem elsewhere, and then it made me realize that maybe I should head home to Alaska where I live and actually see if I could focus on this and tell a story.
Yeah, and I one thing that it really surprised me watching on the film is that you find shoes that they are not used probably in that place before. Like you have been in your background, like all the shoes that you or some of the shoes that you have found in there, and we see a lot of flip-flops, and we saw like you mentioned like some shoes that they had been bitten by turtles, that they don't live there. So like they travel far away. So it's not that the pollution that if we throw like garbage in our backyard that it will end there, but it can travel very far away and really affect all the food chain at the end. So like maybe like throwing the garbage here, we are like poisoning someone in I don't know, like in the Philippines or in Alaska.
Yeah, it's kind of wild to think. So every one of these shoes was one that I found and sketched in Katmai, and just to think that probably nobody here. I mean, there's like a lot of running shoes, flip-flops, boots. Nobody there could have imagined that their shoe would end up somewhere so remote as Katmai, Alaska. Because I mean, Katmai, it's like a place that it feels like Lord of the Rings plus Jurassic Park. It's just one of the most wild places on Earth, and so it's strange to see anything there that's man-made. But when you find a shoe, it just makes you think like, what is the story of this shoe? Because a lot of them do end up from across the world. Whether you live next to the ocean or not, if it goes to a landfill and the landfill is unsecured or something happens, these shoes can last 500, almost 1,000 years in a landfill before they really break apart, too small to see. And so that's a lot of time for them to be able to get into the ocean and kind of zip all around. So it's kind of crazy to think that, the amount of shoes that we've had in our life, that some of those could be still making footsteps and still like kind of moving, which is kind of a wild thing. Like how many pairs of shoes do you think you've had? Actually, you might be a bad example, but like ballpark.
I don't know, like because I'm using like now this year I'm very happy because I have been using 2 pair of shoes like all season,
Right.
like racing and training. But then like it's been maybe a couple of more of prototypes that I use and then send back to so other people use it and that. But in the past, like it's been seasons where I have been using like 7, 8 pair of shoes, and that's like for almost 20 years now. So it's like it's immeasurable. Yeah, so it's a lot. And as you mentioned, like they I don't know where they did end up, because like of course when they are, I try to use it as much, and then like I send it to like FedEx or like to secondhand or like to charity. But then like if they are completely destroyed, like right now, like when I go to the recycling center here in my town, they just say like, okay, yeah, just put it with like the incinerator, because it's not like a solution in most of the recycling centers that we have around. So I think that was actually why we started, like just for the backstory of like why we say like Max, like I think what you are doing in Kanta in Alaska and what we are trying to do in NNormal with this no trace program, it really fused together so good, because like we were thinking, okay, the biggest problem we have with shoes is that right now they all like end up in burn, like incinerated, or in places that they are just like putting them on earth and they end up in Alaska. So we're thinking, okay, what can be the best solution that it's also simple? Because today what is crazy is that it's much easier to buy a new pair of shoe than to repair a pair of shoe, or it's much easier to buy a new one than to get rid of an old pair and be able to recycle. It's so difficult. It's complicated. You need to find like Google like for hours, and you never find a easy solution where you are. So like our purpose with the No Trace program was like, we want to find something that works, so that the shoes or the clothes that we get back, we know that we can repair it and we can like give it a second life, or if they are destroyed, that we can separate all the different elements of the upper, the midsole, and the sole, and recycle each of the parts and end up on new materials that they can be insoles, or they can be mattresses, or they can be other shoes like other rubbers. So to be really sure that it happens this, and that the process should be very simple for the people. And that was the purpose of the No Trace program. So like people can just like bring the label home, send it, and we take care of the rest, or like go to a shop that it's in the program and just drop the clothes or the shoes there. And then like when we were talking about that, and you came into the NNormal team and knowing what you were doing there, and you say like, yeah, it's a bunch of shoes that I found in chemtrail ask, and it was just like, oh, it's a perfect way to illustrate that the problem. And in the film, you also mention in a moment that the problem is not the shoes that you find, and I think that it was also like Peyton, who she's a marine biologist, and she's also a very strong runner, and she's running for Normal now, and she was mentioning that the problem is not the shoes that you find there, but it's the shoes that you don't find because they are breaking down, and all these microplastics are in the ocean, and they are eaten by fishes, and then like the food chain goes up. So yeah, what do you think is the biggest lesson that you found in this making this film? What's the thing that it really ring the most for you?
Yeah. What was so strange about going out there, because I knew there was trash out there, but being out there with Peyton, who is, like you said, I mean, like Olympic quality runner, marine biologist, but also it was great because she was out there just like picking up trash like nobody's been, just, getting into the logs. But while we were talking on the beach, occasionally looking for bears, she explained to me the scope of how long plastics can last and the effect that they can have on the environment. And it's not like we can do without plastic. Like, we need plastic for the life we live right now. We can't make everything out of leather and glass and things like that. It doesn't make sense. But the issue is that we treat plastic disposably. And the wild thing for me is how everything that is plastic will never, ever, ever break down. It might break up. It might break up into smaller and smaller pieces until it's so small that you can't see it anymore. And it's only been around for a little while, so it's just begun to really break up in the world. But once it breaks up so small that it can sort of work its way back into the environment, that's when the real damage happens. And we're just now beginning to see that stuff. We're seeing, we eat a credit card worth of plastic. I think it's per week or something like that. Or maybe it's per day. And that, like, plastic is being found in newborn babies and things like that. So the issues are just beginning with that. But the fact that if you don't catch that plastic, if you make a bunch of new stuff, maybe you make a jacket or you make a pair of shoes or something, and it gets out into the environment, it is almost impossible to pull that back. So we would find shoes, but for every one of these shoes we found, there'd be hundreds probably that we didn't. Or we'd find like a little piece of a shoe, and then that means the rest of it is out there slowly being broken up. And once it's gone, it's gone. Because I can pick these up, but once they are, like, you give on Alaska shores or in the ocean or one of these harsh environments, if you in 10 years, 20 years, and some of these have been out there for 20 or 30, you could only pick those things up with tweezers. You'd need a microscope to be able to find those pieces, and at that point it's too late. So we kind of have this ticking time bomb of like an oil spill in these plastics. They're all petroleum products all over the world, and if we don't pick them up now, it is going to get harder and harder and harder until it is impossible to separate them from the environment. And that's when the damage begins, because they're not like sand or something like that. When they break up and get smaller and smaller, they're able to take those kind of long-lasting chemicals up into the zooplankton, into the fish, eventually into us, into the mammals. So it's kind of scary stuff, but also it just makes it so much more important that we figure out how to get this stuff now, because if we don't get it now, it could be impossible to get later.
Yeah, and like every time I talk with activists or with scientists about like the what's going on, it's kind of depressing. But I'm someone that is very optimistic. Like I'm very optimistic at life, and I think like, yeah, we need to do things, and we can do things, and we can change things. And I think everyone like at Normal and working on this project, they have the same mentality. It's like one thing I love, like a race that we've been like together, and where we record like where I talk in the film, that was at Hard Rock. And I love that in Hard Rock, I think it's the rule number 9 or 10, it's don't whine. I think it just like don't like just don't like oh, we know it's bad, we know it's in a race, like it's painful, it's whatever it is, but don't whine. Like the problems that we are facing, they are big, they are crazy, but we shouldn't like focus on that, but we should like just get our energy, of course, into explaining what's going on, but mostly on to find solutions for that. And like it's a lot of things that we can do. We just need to start doing. And like the solution that we try to put with the Notres program is that to solve the problem of like recycling of technical equipment, but it's many things. And what are the things that you are that you are changing, or that you think that's what I'm changing, that I don't want to do anymore, or that I want to do in the future to address like the environmental problems that you are seeing on places like in Alaska?
You're so right. I mean, yeah, don't whine. I mean, the beauty of the time we live in now, which is full of huge problems. I mean, like marine debris is scary. Microplastics are scary. Microplastics could affect the environment, which pulls the carbon out of the atmosphere. And so like if those go, then that goes, and that's scary. But huge problems require huge solutions. And so we kind of live in this opportunity where we're going to see more change in the next 50 years than there might have been in the last 5,000. And we have the opportunity to find bigger solutions to these bigger problems than we've ever seen on Earth. So it's pretty cool, and that's going to really take everyone. For me, you know, being able to bring like a sketchbook and as an artist, being able to share this idea and these problems through art really gave me a lot of hope, because it doesn't just need engineers. We don't just need politicians. We need literally everyone to be able to find solutions, because there's not one big solution. There's millions and millions of tiny solutions, and that's what fixes the big problem. And it's pretty cool where the no trace side of things comes in, because it's, you know, I like how you're not just saying normal shoes will be recycled. You're not just saying shoes will be recycled. Take all garments. And that's not going to solve everything. I mean, we're still figuring it out, but it's great that there's this one step in the right direction. And then like a really long race, you just add another step and another step and another step. And it feels like you are never going to get there until the last step that you do. And then you look back and you see you did it. But without every single one of those steps, that race is impossible. And so it's absolutely terrifying. It kind of feels like we're at the start of a 100-miler. Actually, no, I take it back. It feels like we're at like the middle, where it really starts to hurt, of a 100-miler, because we're seeing the impacts of what's going on. But in that, we have this opportunity to keep on taking the steps and finding those, and it takes everyone and all of these incredible skills and unique perspectives that we all have to figure out what we can do.
That's great. And because it's often we think like, okay, it's scientists, it's engineers, it's politicians that should solve that, but it's everyone. Like as you mentioned, you as an artist, like you can really pass this message to raise awareness, to educate. Me as an athlete, I can like use my platform as an athlete to talk about these problems, or we can like try to influence our like the people that we are connected, like partners, brands, whatever, to find these solutions. And everyone like have different background and knowledge, and can use his or her own skills for that. And I think that's the great thing. It's not one big solution for the problem. It's like small, multiple, small and big, and all sizes kind of solutions that everybody needs to put, and that they need to cooperate together. And that's also the beauty of this process, that it's everyone have a place on it, and everyone can really bring its own community together. And like it's a work to do together. It's not about like being the genius that solves things, but it's to help each other to to go for a better future. And talking about like I known you for many years now already. Yeah, some of them, yeah. And you have been filming a lot of races, and you have been filming a lot of projects with athletes, and you are kind of like, when I look at you as an artist, I see you as like, you know, these musicians that they have like all the band on themselves, like I think it's called like a band musician, that you are able to like, you are filming,
Yeah.
you are editing, you are like drawing, you are putting the animations yourself, like you are like as an artist, I think you are this, that you have everything and you can do by yourself, like everything. I remember we were doing one race here in Norway some years ago, and you were driving, flying the drone at the same time, filming with the camera, and then drawing. Like it was crazy. Like in a 120 hour race, that the duration of the race, you were doing all that by yourself alone. And on a project like that, that to film this NNormal shoe, what was the most challenging for you as a as a filmmaker, I would say, or as an artist?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's one trick. There's one trick that can make all of this possible. But I'd say like one of the hardest things was to actually keep the big picture in mind. Because you're right. I mean, we're talking about millions of little solutions, but when you see this big problem, it is so easy to get kind of lost. And so it was really important to kind of keep a focus when out there. The bears I can deal with. I know how to deal with bears. The cold weather, you can have good gear for it. Picking up this stuff, it's brutal. I work with a company called the Ocean Plastics Recovery Project, and they're the ones who actually get out to these places, which are some of the most remote spots on Earth. And they're kind of just trying to buy us some time because we need the plastics to stop. We need stuff like the No Trace program. We need people pulling it out of the ocean, stopping it from getting into the ocean, but you still need somebody to go out there and pick it up. So that's what the Ocean Plastics Recovery Project does. But for me, I think the trick is seeing where the things in your life connect and following those. So like a Venn diagram, right? With the circles, we have a circle, like all the circles. So like you said, I'm a filmmaker, right? There's a billion filmmakers on Earth. So I'm one of a billion. And then I also want to help the environment, but so does probably everybody else. There's 8 billion people, but then I'm also an artist, and there's maybe only 100 million of those. And I live in Alaska. And so when all of these circles start to add up, eventually you get to this point, like the Venn diagram, where there's only one person on Earth that can do what you do. And I think for me, the trick is to find out what that circle is, know where you're needed, and then only you can do that. Like you're a runner. There's a lot of runners out there. You're a very fast runner, so you might be one of one for other reasons. But you're also interested in the environment, and you're interested, and you're creative, and you're interested in shoes. And so there's probably only one or two people in the world who could be able to do what you do with NNormal or start the No Trace program. And the same can be said for anybody. Maybe there's somebody out here watching who is, they're an engineer, but they also live on the coast and they work with, turtles, or they have whatever it is. There's these little circles of the things we do in our life that make us unique. And if you can figure out where those connect and where you can help out, you're able to do something nobody else is. And for me, with the art and the filming, and then seeing this huge problem, and then living in Alaska, actually being here and being able to get to those places, it really helped me see that this was a really important thing for me to do because I could tell this story in a really unique way. And I feel like I'm just getting started as well. But seeing that and being able to share that really makes me hopeful because this is just one story that I could tell. But now that I know how it's done, I know that there's 8 billion of those stories out there with each other person, and it really encourages me to see how those solutions get found because they will. and it's just going to take a lot of creativity to get there.
That was very beautiful said, and yeah, thanks for that. Like I was thinking you would mention like just like fighting the bears or like the cold weather, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's
As you mentioned, that's probably the most difficult, like to see the big picture and to see where you fit on that. And just like before we go to the questions of everyone here, like as we mentioned, like it's we don't pretend to do a revolution here. It's just like to put a small solution on this big issue that we have created. Like I mean, like it's our generation that it's the more responsible for the problems we are facing, and the outdoor industry. Besides that, I think like we are one of the communities that we care more about environment. It was actually some studies done some years ago in Germany about like how different sports communities, like they were like conscious, how it was they're conscious about like the environment and the pollution, and then like what was their footprint, and like outdoor sports, and we are like trail runners are part of the outdoor sports. We were the ones with biggest like environmental conscience, but we were like also part of the biggest polluters, because like we travel a lot, we use a lot of gear, and solutions like that. I think in the last years it's great, because we see like a lot of different movements, a lot of brands that they are taking more seriously also these problems, and NNormal, our focus is like, we think, okay, we want to make products that they are durable, because I believe you can make products that they are very good environmentally, but if you need to use it a lot or to change it a lot and buy it new, it's just it's like the resources are there, and it's using a lot. So we wanted to make products that they are durable, so you can use for long, that they are easy to repair, but eventually they will break down. And like that was the goal of the Nutris program. And just to explain to everyone here how it works, it's, as I mentioned a bit before, but it's super simple. Like you can go to the website normal.com, and there is all the description, and it's, you just select if you have one product or multiple products, you see, you can take a picture of them, or like just make a description, and then like print a label, and then you just post it. It's free for you, or if you are close to one of the shops that we are working with them, and they have like boxes, like some carton boxes with marked Nutris program, you can drop your old worn products there, and we take care of them. And as I mentioned before, when they get to us, we have like actually a facility in the US and one in Europe, where they cut the different materials, or first they clean them well, they see if it's possible to just repair it and give it a second life. They do that. But if not, what they do is like they separate all the different materials, because the biggest problem of recycling is that if it's multiple materials, then you cannot recycle. So they cut all the different parts, and then like they can use these they actually take all the, like, let's say all the rubber, all the EVA, or like the PIVA or whatever it is in the midsoles, all the fibers for the apparel, and they put them together, they break them down, they make a new fabric, and with that we are able to, either us or other brands or other companies from other sectors, to make new materials. So that's how it works. And we wanted to create something very simple, but that it's very effective. And I think that's all here. We just want to hear you now, guys, that you have probably some questions here, and we want to answer those. So Max and I will be here with you to see if we can answer your questions.
Let's fix the world. Let's do it.
Yeah, so let's first of all, thank you so much for all your questions. Just Max and Kilian, we got at least 25 questions. Let's see.
All right.
We will follow the order and let's try to answer to as much questions as possible. So, Jean-François Cabre. So first question here. What I think this one is for Max. So what is the most unlikely thing you have collected?
Oh, the most unlikely thing? Yeah, great question. I mean, so these are just the shoes. Like we found there's like over a few trips, maybe like a couple hundred shoes. But we found some wild stuff out there. I mean, everything from like pieces of planes, we'll find like wings, we'll find lifeboats. It's like the land of the lost. You find a little bit of everything, but the thing you're looking for are like glass balls. That's the dream. You're picking up trash all day long, your bottles, everything, but glass balls, they're Japanese fishing floats from like the 60s is what they used to use instead of plastic buoys. And so occasionally they'll be floating around in the ocean for, I don't know, 100 years or something like that. And they'll end up in Alaska on these rocky beaches unbroken. So that's kind of like, that's one of the wild things to find. Or light bulbs. You'll find full-on light bulbs. And we're talking like a place that is crazy brutal. And you'll find an unbroken light bulb just sitting there on the beach. But you really could find anything. You never ever know what is going to be around the next bend or what's going to be around the next corner, which makes it fun. It also makes it super depressing because sometimes it's just a lot of trash and you just wish it would just be pure nature. But yeah, it's a good question. One day I'll like write a book and I'll like have pictures or like illustrations of the wild stuff we find.
Oh wow, that's like parts of planes. That's amazing. Okay, let's now move to the second question. Kilian, maybe this one can be for you. So, question from Situ. What is your ideal end of life for a used shoe?
So right now, what I do personally is like I use my shoes for racing. Once they have lost the properties to be like reactive, then I use them for training. When they are like completely worn, first, if it's something like the sole, like I just put a new sole, but then like if it's more the midsole or the upper that it's completely gone, then what I do is I use them just for like going to school, going to shop, like going around, like just for like kind of everyday life, and then like or give to some friends. Actually, I give to some friends that they will use it more, and then eventually when they are completely worn, right now I didn't have a solution until now. I didn't have a solution, so now I hope that with or yeah, the aim with this project is that every part of the shoe can be made to some other materials.
Okay. Just a quick reminder for everyone, and in order to respect the order of the incoming questions, use the Q&A feature. Thank you. So, well, this one can be for both. Let's see, and answer if possible. So, should brands like Nike and Adidas and all the other brands be responsible for returns to deal with the recycling aspect of end-of-life trainers? The question is, they create the shoe, so why shouldn't they be held accountable for the sustainable recycling of it at the end of life? This is a hard question.
I can answer first, and then Max, if you have some ideas, you go. But I think it's about both. I think it's about the brands to bring the solutions, but also it's about the person that use the shoes or they use the gear to be also responsible for what we own. At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, we are so used now on this, like I buy new stuff and I just don't care about if it breaks down, I just change it, because we've been educated on that, and we need to change also this education. Like our grandparents, when something was breaking down, they were repairing it. And I would say it's a shared responsibility between the brands, that they need to offer solutions for repairing, solutions for recycling, so it's easier, and promote that in a way that it's not something that it's just like to make you buy new products, because sometimes it's just like, give me your old one and I give you a discount for the new one, and that's good, but it's not then like the motivation there is more to get a new one than to make the life of this product longer. And at the end of the day, I think the goal is to make the life of products longer. And for that, I think I would say it's a shared responsibility. Brands need to put the tools and the facilities, and the users. We also need to take care of our products and to be sure that that we use the solutions that they are out there.
Okay. Max, do you want to add
Yeah.
something?
Well, it's tough. I mean, the brand, it's all about the brand's value, and no one can control what you do with their products. And like Kilian said, we don't always have a lot of options.
Yeah.
But if they value these places, and if they value the damage that this will eventually do, then I think it's on us to choose a brand that does that. So yeah, it's a tool. It's kind of how we do it, but you're totally right. It's a gray area, isn't it? It's a little bit on everybody's shoulders because we're all going to suffer the consequences if we don't deal with it.
Yeah, true. That's why I obviously I like the idea of that you can give a second life, and doesn't matter the brand, because in the end, product is product. So I totally agree with what you said, and thank you so much for add to what Kilian said. So moving to the next question. Okay, this one is so 2 questions from Bogdan, our friend from Romania. So first of all, I would like to congratulate you for the whole project. Kilian, maybe you can ask this. Maybe you can answer to this one. So I was wondering when the program will be extended to other countries. I can also help you on this one.
Yeah. So actually now it's in Europe and US, and then like that's like online. So in these countries, like you can have the shipment, like you can print the label home and send it. And as Francisco, you mentioned, like it's not only for normal products, it's for products for any brand. Like we will like recycle, like doesn't matter which brand it is. That's the goal of it. But then like some of these countries, I know now it's in France, in Spain, in US. It's also some shops that you can like bring the gear and put it in the boxes. And our goal is to expand that, both for the online and for the shops. But yeah, we are a very small brand. Like we are just like a group of people, and we want to do things right before like expanding to see that it's working well. But yeah, the goal is to go to more countries in the next years.
Yeah, and because Bogdan also asked a second question, and it's something that we already talked in our Telegram community. So in the future, you will need new team members, and I don't just mean performance athletes. For example, we have Max. So this is the creative mind that is part of our ambassadors team.
Creative mind on a performance body. I just got to say, athlete here.
So in the end, well, at least what I normally say, like, of course, we have our ambassadors team, but taking into account that in the end, this is all about the mission. This is all about the commitment. It's a question of mindset, right? So it's inspiring people to enjoy in this respect nature. If you are passionate about outdoor sports, and in the end, whether you use normal products or not, like it's a question of mission and commitment, right? So what do you think about this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think like as I mentioned, like we are a small team, and we hope to grow in a way that it's sustainable, and that mostly because like it's not about like being bigger, but it's about like having more influence. And I think that's where we want to go, is to bring a vision and to bring solutions and to bring ideas, so all the industry also can be can follow our the way that we propose. and that's the goal. And as you mentioned, like, yeah, it's not about being like we think like normal people is not only the ones that they are like full like normal, and it's just to have the mindset. And I think like the team is that the people that share these values.
Yeah, true. And it's funny, well, it's interesting that you say that. Our next question from Galib Acosta. So is how much is the capacity of Normal as a brand to repair shoes? Well, this is very specific. And do we as a brand, do you want to create a movement or a trend on with this kinds of mission and commitment on the shoe industry?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like the capacity actually, as I mentioned before, is these two facilities in one in Europe and one in US with our partner Recycle, that we are doing this project together, and it's as much as it's possible. Like I think like the more, because that's also like how it works, is the more shoes we get, that means that we are able to make more fabric of these materials, so that then it's possible to in the future maybe to invest to do even more. So I think it's the project, it's aimed to be like also economically sustainable but itself. So it's that it of course it needs an inversion, but then like it's the more products we are able to recycle, the more products or fabrics you are able to give away. So at the end, like it's like I would say as much as possible, because it means that it's just more recycled fabric that it goes out. And yeah, we have capacity. I think now it can be like a few thousands of pairs, like that would be like amazing. I think that's what we want to have, so we are able to really as you mentioned, like to make a movement and to start to invite other brands, invite other factories to do the same. That's the end goal, is to really inspire or to motivate others to follow this same way.
I think of it like a track race, you know. The really boring ones are where you have everyone going as slow as they can because they want to sprint at the end, you know, like one of those 1 mile races, and they spend the first 4/5 just going super slow, and then they all sprint. But if one person takes it out at a real pace, no one can catch them. And so everybody has to go at a real race pace. And that's the sense I get is Normal. And tell me if I'm wrong here, Kilian, but the sense I get is Normal is just going to take this out because we want to run a PR. We don't want to sprint it out until the end just to say that we won. We want to actually go as far and as fast as we can. And that takes just starting now, not waiting till you're a huge giant company. It's just making it happen, and hopefully the rest of the huge giant companies follow the lead.
Max, Kilian, shall we? Because we have lots of questions, and thank you so much for this. Do we have like 5 more minutes just to go with 2 or 3 more questions? So let's see. Okay, so we have a question from Arnaud Sainte-Marie. So nice to see you, Arnaud. Max, a fantastic documentary, bringing things into the perspective and raising the question of how serious is the industry with this issue. Question to both of you. Shoes are one of the 4 pillars impacting our playground. What is your take on the clothing side of things? Do you see the effects of it on your trips? What will be your ideal scenario for Normal?
Oh, okay. So Normal takes clothing in the No Trace program. That's a big part. It's shoes, but it's garments, and garments are huge in what's going to break down first. Peyton said it well in the film. These shoes, they'll take a while to break down. Usually the upper is going to break apart first, the rubber, the sole, that takes a while. We don't find a lot of shirts, but we know that they're out there, but they break apart instantly before we find anything. And they're made out of fibers. So the shoes are made out of, plastics and polymers, but they're all kind of tightly squashed together. The fibers of our shirts are much more loosely woven. So the shirts, the socks, whatever you're wearing that's made out of plastic, which is most of it, that will turn into microplastics way faster than a shoe. So it's harder to reuse, resell, redo, but being aware of where your garments and your shoe and your apparel goes is just as important as the shoes. We just focused on shoes in particular because we could find them, but also because they were easy to kind of wrap your head around. But yeah, the apparel industry, I think is huge, and that is what is going to just blow apart in the wind as soon as that gets into the environment.
Yeah, no, you say it well. Like it's bigger, like the apparel industry, and yeah, the program is for all. Like it's for apparel and footwear, any kind of footwear, any kind of apparel, actually.
Okay, let's now move to the second question. Do you plan on making partnerships with some of the famous races in order to be able to collect the shoes also there? Just a little bit similar to what we did last year at the UTMB.
Yeah, we did it at UTMB last year in the normal stand. It was like a box to do that. So like we plan to collect as much as possible, like and to give this possibility everywhere where we can be, and we are looking for of course events, but also like partners at shops or places where people can bring it. So it's like that is this place there where you can bring it, but also events are a great place. If you know that it's there, then like you can take it from home to this event. So yeah, I think the easiest way is to we will announce like on social media or like on our channels. Like we have a very active Telegram channel that Francisco is there like all the time, like to talk with all of you guys. But we will announce that in the website with the of the Note Race program. Like it will be announced where it's possible to bring all the worn apparel or shoes there.
Yeah. And if I could talk to I know that there's a bunch of questions talking about kind of the carbon impact as well. And I just want to say one of the things I learned out there is, one, carbon's huge. And the idea of sending, like shipping shoes far away, or like why focus on microplastics when the carbon is such a hot topic right now? And I learned that they're actually very, very deeply connected. It's really important to reduce that carbon impact, but these microplastics are going to impact a lot of the natural systems that remove the carbon from the earth naturally. The phytoplankton, these environments are doing more than we could imagine to pull that out. And so even if we went totally net zero and still like figured out carbon sequestration, if we lose the rainforest and the phytoplankton, we're toast. And so these microplastics affect the systems. And so yeah, shipping shoes right now might not be the most efficient thing. Starting that culture, it might not be the like most efficient way. It might not even like even out right now, but in the long term, and these microplastics, they take a while, but once they're there, they're there. But in the long term, this does make a huge difference. And so I know a lot of people are asking that, or if you were thinking about it as well, it can be hard to pick which environmental thing you work on because there's so many going on, but they are all connected. And this is one where we're just starting that process of making this a normal thing of your shoes, your clothes don't get lost. And I can say that I hope that I have no more pairs of shoes that I can't account for anymore, because I've had hundreds in my life and I have no idea where they are. But after this program starts, it is my goal that no more shoes, no more apparel, no more socks end up somewhere where I don't know where they headed, somewhere responsible.
I like the commitment.
Just talking about that, like I think, as you mentioned, like all the environmental, like like all the all the systems are really deeply interconnected. And when it comes to the carbon, like emissions, when it comes to products, like what you realize, seeing how the product is made, how is like transported, and how is used the product, is like the biggest part of the impact. It's normally like materials and manufacturing, and that means that, and that's why we decided to really make products that we want people to use long and that they are more durable, is because we believe that where you can cut the most is by making them to use the products and to use them for long and to repair it. So it's just that we need to kind of like slow the life cycle of products so they keep longer. So we need to produce less. So we need to produce things that they are better, that they are more durable. So like it's having less emissions. So I think that's what we are like. That's our DNA on Normal, to have durability as a must on sustainability and on like wearing less things. And then the nostri program is like to put this end of life solution. So when like we want products we don't want this program to be used as like, I want to replace my shoes and the first thing I do is just like to send it here. But we want first you to repair it, to take care of the shoes, to take care of the apparel, and then it's just like the end of life solution. But it shouldn't be like something that is the first thing to do, but it's really the end of life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you can have the most efficient product on earth, but even if your shoes last 100 years, eventually they are going to have to go somewhere. And if they end up in the ocean, you're just delaying it a little bit. So it's like training, right? You can be the most fit person on earth, but then you still have to take steps faster and further than the people around you. It doesn't matter how efficient they are. You still got to take those steps. And that's what this program is starting with. It's actually connecting the loop so that, no matter how long it takes to get there, it still is connected and won't end up outside into the environment.
Okay, let's now move very quickly into our last question. And this is, I think that's this will help everyone. How can we all help as a community?
You want to go first, Max?
Yes. Okay, let's see. The way that we can help as a community is by making this a normal thing to do. It's easy when there's a system in place. It's easy to make it easy for everyone when we're all doing it. And I think that it starts with shoes. If we can just make it a normal thing to make sure that your shoes never get lost, that you have no more pairs of lost shoes, then that could spread everywhere else. And I think that as runners, it can feel like a selfish thing to do what we do. And, what does it give back? But if you can be part of this community and you can make sure that your footsteps and your footprint stops when you stop with your shoes, then I think that could change the world. So yeah, it's important to do the steps. It's important to actually make it happen. But if you can build that community of and that responsibility into the community, that's something that could last forever.
Kilian.
Yeah, that's great. And I would go like a bit similar on like just like you can analyze one day of your life and see where you can have more impact like on, and that can come from like what you do, everything that you do from morning to evening. What are the conversations that you have? How are you connecting and which are the solutions that you are using? What's the things that you are using? What are the things that not? And really analyzing the footprint of one day. It can change all your life after. And then like just to bring solutions. Like we live in a world where like it seems that everyone wants to protect or like criticize, and we need more like we need to help each other. We need to have community to help and to bring ideas together and to work together. And it's a very polarized world where we live, where it's like either people is just going their way, or it's like some very amazing communities out there that they are working together. And we need to go more there. We need to go more into like just bring solutions together and like just make them better. And that will come of people talking, of people like bringing ideas, of people like just saying, I think, I suggest, I had that idea, I have been doing that, and that helped me. So like just like bringing people together and being us on a very positive mindset of like, we are aware about the problems, but we have a strong will and will to work and will to be working hard for finding the solutions and doing them.
Max, Kilian, what a great event. What a really inspiring conversation. Thank you so much for your conversation, and obviously for being able and available to answer to some of our community members' questions. Before
Oh yeah, well, I mean, it's.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was
Go
gonna say
ahead.
it's. I mean, well, it's the community that counts. Like I can see what there's 68 people here right now, and a bunch have been kind of traveling through. But like it's the people asking the questions and listening. Like they're the ones that count. We'll just kind of set the spark to like get this fire going, but it really does take all of them. So I mean, thanks to them for being here. That's what counts. So that's where the thanks goes, I think.
Yeah, for sure that this was a good starting point. Taking into account that we just launched the No Trace program 4 days ago. So before we leave, team, let us just remind you of 3 things. In order for you to get access to exclusive content, experiences, events that obviously we will organize throughout this year, please feel free to join the NNormal community. There you're gonna get access to the second layer of the community, which is the Telegram community that is always on fire every day. But if you want, please, here's the link for you to join the NNormal community, or if you are already part of the NNormal community through the newsletter, here's a direct link to for you to participate in our Telegram community. One last thing, please make sure that tomorrow you pay attention to our social media, because there will be a raffle of some of Max Romey's illustrations. Okay, so tomorrow, please make sure that you pay attention, because again, just like I said, we will do a raffle on some of Max's illustrations, not those that Max has on the background, but yeah, still really beautiful illustrations. And yeah, that's it for today's event. Hoping that you can continue that we can continue to count on your presence on this journey that is only starting. A journey in which we seek to bring new ways of thinking and acting in relation to environment, of course, with all the outdoor activities, whether trail running or hiking. Have fun in the mountains, always trying to make your footprint minimal or at least temporary. Thank you so much, and see you on the next NNormal Community event. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Kilian. Thank you, Max.
Thanks, everyone.
Trevor.
Have a good evening, and have a good day, Max.
Yeah, you too. Well, have a good night, Kilian.
Have a good day, Max. Ciao, ciao.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye. Ciao. Cheers.